what is happening with the Department of Homeland Security funding. Now, it's an interesting. I every day, and I don't talk about it every day, but I am just. It is just stunning to see how ineffectual the Republicans seem to be. And look, I obviously anticipated that they wouldn't be terribly good at promoting an agenda, but they're not only not doing anything legislatively, they can't even seem to maintain any type of narrative. They just seem to be completely adrift. They set this deadline for today, an arbitrary deadline of when the funding for Department of Homeland Security was going to run out, so that they could protest President Obama's deferred action on immigration executive orders, and they can't pass a bill. I don't even know. They're going to try right now to punt for 3 weeks, and I don't even know if they can pass the bill to punt for 3 weeks. We're waiting to see if they can pass that right now.
Yeah. No, I think we kind of predicted this. There's still something different. I think that's some of what you're saying here. None of us expected them to really govern.
Right.
There's something different about really experiencing in real time, what just a fractured group of goofballs they are. When you encourage your own party to run on such a platform of, complete individual autonomy. I don't know if that's the right word, but, basically not giving a crap about anybody but yourself, because that's the highest form of being an American in our country, according to them. Not good for team building, Sam. And they all realize that that's their path to glory, because at this point, we've discussed this before too. At this point, running for office is as much about, getting your brand out there and building name recognition for a career on Fox News or talk radio or going around giving corporate speeches as it is anything else. It's a means to an end at this point. It's not just an end. So, these guys, you basically have a lot, they're only there because they came there because we need to make these changes together. Even the people that were swept in with Reagan, as conservative as they were, they had an agenda. They had things uniting them that they wanted to change. What the hell do these guys want to do? Did anybody actually really say, I guess they want to outlaw being gay, or certainly being gay and married. They want to outlaw abortion. I guess there's a couple things that the vast majority of them want to do together, but mostly when it comes to sort of forward governing and reforming things, is there really any agenda? No. So it's just sort of the default is, how do I get myself on the Sunday shows? How do I make sure I get to go on Fox and Friends tomorrow morning?
The amazing thing is that it's not just that they're not doing anything; it's that they haven't been able to figure out, which I think in the past they've been good at, is they're not effective at they seemingly pushing for anything. Like they're all of their, and I want to talk about this and this sort of dovetails with the net neutrality thing too, which I find just sort of stunning. The Keystone XL thing went past with a whimper, right? Think about this. President Obama vetoed that bill this week. And it was just a bill that would have allowed Congress to do it. And if you had asked me when he vetoes this 4 or 5 months ago, I would have said, well, when he vetoes it, if he does veto it, it is going to be all about, they're going to trumpet how this is just about what is in the purview of the president and what is in the purview of Congress, that it was completely a process-style veto. The administration didn't even have to push that because nobody cares. Like there's no constituency out there that, at least in the public, that cares about the fact that he stopped Congress from permitting Keystone XL. And I think, the idea of the administration not permitting Keystone at this point is just like, yeah, that may make the news for half a day, even though this has been like the primary centerpiece of the Republican Party for the past 6 months.
And exactly. And it's like in and out, gone, because since day one, when they got into office, they have just made such a freaking mess of the entire place.
Well,
From
but
what
it's
they've
also
chosen to prioritize, to the backbiting, to their secret histories of white supremacy fandom among their leadership. It's literally, they can't stop stepping on their own I don't know. Can I say that on radio? Maybe not.
I mean, but here the other aspect about this is that when you contemplate, like, the reaction to that, you contemplate the reaction to the to now we're seeing what happened with their reaction. I mean, this is their big reaction. People should remember what's going on with this Department of Homeland Security thing, which people are barely making a blip, is the pushback to President Obama providing the DACA, or the expanded DACA, essentially the deferred action on deportation, for 5 million people. That was supposedly, if he had done this. I mean, people have to remember what the rhetoric was 8 months ago from the Republican Party. If he does this, he is going to create a constitutional crisis. They can't mount anything off this now. And
no.
And what I'm thinking is that I wonder if I'm hoping that there are activist groups. I mean, like, this is now sort of part of the historical record. This is what happens when you take these what were perceived as dangerous political positions. When you take these positions and you do it unabashedly, there's no pushback.
Right. Well, I mean, when you take sort of these outlandish positions like they do, when you kind of step way out there and throw around the kind of rhetoric they throw around, then it's pretty damn hard to walk that stuff back. And then the amazing thing is you find that the people out there who rely on you and believe in you actually expect you to do what you were saying. And so, I mean, it's a joke. I mean, they passed, was it this morning? They passed with almost 70 votes the Homeland Security funding through September in the Senate.
Right.
So I mean, so which is something they said they wouldn't do, but they just did. And then there's the Boehner clown show of what he can get people together for. It's the House, where it's even worse, and because in the Senate at least, as well as among those currently running for president. I don't know if there are any House members among those. I don't think there are. There's at least a vague notion that you have to try to appeal to Hispanic people. In most of these districts, in most of these gerrymandered Republican districts, there's maybe like 8 non-white people there.
Right.
So they just haven't. I mean, winning the Senate, you actually need to win Hispanic voters. You may not in a given year, like the last time around when they won in 2014 because of the way the map was set up, but you will eventually. Because there's enough states out there where you must appeal to minority voters, appeal to women. And for the presidential race, you have to. But these guys in the House, so they really, by everything they've done from, we talked about this before, but from building this sort of, right-wing outrage complex of media properties and think tanks and whatever, they've screwed themselves and doomed themselves to not being able to govern, and they've done the same thing in the way they've gerrymandered their House seats. So I mean, I don't know what the hell they're going to do, but I mean, I don't know how they can govern on any of this, and they just keep sort of spitting in, the eye of a growing population of people in this country who are going to continue to grow beyond them when you count all minorities eventually, not that far off into the future. I mean, I'm not sure what they think they can do here, but they've put themselves in this position, and they deserve everything they get.
Yeah, well, and what's fascinating about it to me is that you have this situation where in the Senate they have this pressure that they feel like we've got to make it look like we're doing some things because, of course, when they run for a re-election, it's a broader populace, as opposed to the House, like the point you've just made. But on the House side, the leadership cannot fully embrace what the vast majority, or at the very least, a huge portion of their caucus embraces in terms of a narrative, which that caucus sort of lives on its own reservoir, like you say, because they go on WorldNet daily television, they'll go on Fox, they'll go on. I mean, there's a whole sort of just like a growing world of right-wing media.
It's almost organic at this point.
But
a growing world of crazy because there's so much money to be made.
Yes.
So that you even have like the Breitbart idiots and Chuck Johnson. I mean, all these goofballs who see that there's money out there because, again, it's the essential connection made here, and others have done it, but certainly Rick Perlstein has done it one of the best, of connecting conservatism to just all the, the kind of conservatism they sell, at least, to all the other cons that they sell their lists, their email lists online about, penis pills and, balding cures and all these kinds of things. Well, this is just another thing.
But what's fascinating about it,
to send their money to.
What's fascinating about it now, as opposed to, let's say, 10 years ago, is that what's going on in that world is not infecting the mainstream media the way it did 10 years ago. So in some ways, like a guy like Boehner, who is trying to seem reasonable to the country, is not echoing what's coming out, what's growing in this sort of like in these fever swamps. And
no, that's exactly right. Because when you start seeing, I can give perfect examples here, many of them. I won't go into all the details, but I live in a state in Ohio that's a key swing state. It's basically a 50-50 state. We've got 5 more Republican congressmen / women than we should have. Because of the crazy redistricting. They're mostly from rural districts, the way they set up. They're crazy people. Jim Jordan is one of them. He's from north central Ohio, and he's an example of somebody who is one of those guys in like the Republican study group or whatever the right-wing group is that broke away from that because it wasn't right-wing enough.
Right.
Just a lunatic. And there's others like that in there. And even the media properties here, because the 3 biggest newspapers in the state, I would call the Cleveland Plain Dealer kind of center of the road. I'd call the Dispatch, Columbus Dispatch, center right. And the Inquirer here in Cincinnati is very conservative. But you find them now even breaking with Republicans on numerous things, on numerous issues, whether it's trying to shut down all these clinics or whether it's on gun issues or whether it's on gay rights issues, whether it's on climate change. You can go on and down the list, even economic issues, which I thought some of these guys would never break with them on. But they've gotten so crazy. So even sort of their representatives in mainstream media, what used to be, you're exactly right. They're like, what the hell is going on here?
And the amazing
they're breaking
thing,
with them.
It's not going to impact those Republicans. That's the thing, is they're breaking with them, but it's not going to impact them because, again, they have their own sort of reservoir of crazy juice that keeps them going in the form of these fever swamps.
Their people are not, you're right. Their people may casually read the Cincinnati Enquirer, but they're watching Fox all day.
Yep.
They're getting emails from the National Right to Life Committee, telling them that the world's about to blow up. They're watching Brent Bozell's videos on Benghazi. This is what their base is doing. They're not even reading conservative mainstream media anymore. And you're right, and they don't have to react to it because most of their districts, outside of maybe a dozen, 2 dozen districts that are swing districts, are a joke.
Yep, and so we have this is a different paradigm, is the point that I think I'm trying to make here to people that we've had over the past, I think, decade or so. Because and who's in power, of course, changes. In the House or in the Senate or in the presidency changes the dynamic, but it has gone along a fairly structured. The physics of it were more or less the same. One is up, one is down, but the physics still work the same way. The physics don't work the same way now. We're seeing something that is fundamentally different, I think, because of there's this sub-Republican party that doesn't need to be mainstream anymore in any shape or...
Well, it benefits from not being mainstream because it can be more populist and run against the mainstream that leads certain candidates in most of these districts that they've created. It creates a better opportunity for them to get elected. It creates an opportunity for people to make more money. Fox is the best example. If ever there was a sort of station, because of the appeal Fox could have, that you'd think would want to sort of delve in mainstream, it would be Fox. But even Fox, because they realize who they're appealing to here, they're not appealing to center-right readers. That's a nice extra, group to get. But they're most fervent, people who are going to watch that damn station 24/7, and are the lunatics who are buying gold and gathering in the basement for the coming apocalypse.
And don't care about just how impeached everything apparently Bill O'Reilly said.